Hey guys, it's Goosebumps Completionist, and today I'm bringing you a book review from Slappyworld, and it's book number 5, Escape from Shudder Mansion. I really enjoyed this book. It has its problems, I will say, especially towards the end, and it kind of feels like a newer take on One Night in Pain House, which I really enjoyed. But other than that, I think this book is definitely a readable book. I was pretty scared reading this book. It has some very scary scenes. So far in Slappyworld, from what I've read, It's Alive was a perfect book. This is not going to get a perfect score, but I do think it's above average, as we'll get later into the video. But anywho, let's get into the plot. So, the story takes place in a town that has this haunted house that has a video game based about it. And this kid named Riley is obsessed with this video game. The video game is called Shudder Mansion. And he knows every level to this game. And he knows every scenario, every monster, every ghost that can kill you. He has that absolute fandom. Like the average, video game connoisseur has at least one video game franchise that they absolutely are huge fans of. Riley is that for Shudder Mansion. And he's like that because the Shudder Mansion is actually in his town. So he feels some type of connection to it. And he goes into his relationship with his twin sister, Scarlett. And him and Scarlett have like a joking relationship. They're always messing with each other. But him and Scarlett are very close. And Riley has a hard time explaining his love for this video game to Scarlett, because Scarlett thinks it's kind of silly. She doesn't believe that the mansion in town is actually haunted, but Riley secretly does. So one day, Riley and Scarlett end up going to the haunted mansion, and something really weird happens to Riley. He sees this cat apparition that randomly just like dissipates, and he starts seeing these shadow figures move across this house, and he's getting really freaked out. He's like, am I seeing something? What am I seeing? And then this creepy girl is behind the mansion chilling on the wall, and Riley's like, I can't trust her, but Scarlett's like, let's go say hi, let's not be that, those type of kids that, just ignore people. So they go to talk to this girl. They discover her name is Mia. And Mia is, this creepy girl. She has a grin on her face. She wears this blue skirt, this white top. She has these blonde locks. Looks into your soul type. And Riley's like, oh, I might have a little crush on her. She's kind of cute. And then the sun hits a certain angle, and this graphic imagery happens where Riley can see her skin falling into her skull, and her whole face is turning into a skull from the sunlight. And he's freaked out. And Scarlett doesn't know what to do with Riley because he's being rude or whatnot. But Scarlett invites Mia over for dinner, and Riley's like, why'd you do that? And she's like, well, I want to be your friend. So she comes over. Riley goes to play the video game, and he swears he saw Mia in the video game, which is starting to kind of blur reality with the video game itself. And he calls Scarlett and Mia up, say, hey, look, Mia, what do you have to say about this? Mia's like, oh, well, look, it might be me in a video game. And her and Scarlett laugh and whatnot. And Riley's, put in the back of his head, he really doesn't trust Mia. He doesn't know what's wrong in this situation, but he's going to find out. Then it cuts to a new scene where Riley and Scarlett are in their classroom, and they're doing these like presentations about adventures they've been on in the class and what have you. And this kid named Carter is bragging to all of his classmates how he ran from a rhino in Africa or something. And everybody's like, ooh, but Riley's like, I think Carter's full of it. I really don't like Carter. And it comes up to his turn, and he was talking about the Shudder Mansion experience. And the teacher, okay, this is where it kind of gets like out of the realm of realism in the story. But the teacher, hears him, and she's like, you know, you always draw pictures, you always talk about this Shudder Mansion place. Why don't you and a couple of other students go spend the night in Shudder Mansion and have an adventure, and then you guys can come back to the class and give a report on it. And Riley's like, well, I guess I'll do it if I have friends. Scarlett gets recruited. Carter gets recruited, you know, his kind of nemesis in the story, and these 2 other kids get recruited. So there's 5 kids in total, and they agree to meet at Shudder Mansion beforehand to kind of see what it's all about and discuss what they're going to bring in cameras. And then when they go there, this whole scary dream sequence thing happens with Riley. You don't know what's real and what's not real, I'll tell you that. I don't want to get into any spoilers there. But it's ultimately revealed that what he was going through was just a massive dream sequence. And not to mention, there's a very scary scene within that dream sequence with a skeleton that's really, it gets to me. I just don't like that. I get the heebie-jeebies from it. But anyway, it's ultimately revealed that that was just a figment. Then it goes into all these parents bringing the kids to the mansion. And the parents are going to go in there and set up some snacks, drinks, and food and stay downstairs while these kids go explore the house. And then all this crazy stuff starts happening. For starters, the doors are rusted and they can't open. Something happens to the generator that are powering this camcorder thing they're using to record upstairs with for video evidence. And it blows all the candles out. And before you know it, all this weird stuff that happens in the video game starts happening inside of the mansion. And they look outside, and all the parents are running frantically out of the house, and they don't know what to do. They're panicked, all 5 of the kids. And they try to run, escape, get out of the house somehow. And they go this one route, and they get stuck in this one room. Then they have to go find what happened to a person that goes missing. Ultimately, they find the person, but when they find the person, this mega reveal happens of who these villains are and what the intentions behind them are and what reality they're in almost. And Riley has to save the day. And Riley does something to kind of end the situation, but as the ending will say, they never really got out of the situation. And that's where I'll leave it, because I don't want to kind of spoil the ending, because there's a lot of stuff that could get spoiled if I go into too much depth. But basically, that's the story of Escape from Shudder Mansion. Now, the strengths on this book are some of the scenes in this book, like the scene dealing with Mia outside, where Riley thinks her skin is, decaying inside of her skull. That's very scary stuff to imagine. Like, it's just so creepy. The scene with the skeleton in the dream sequence, absolutely terrifying. These ordeals that this group of kids have to go on within the house, it kind of gives me a vibe of like Adventures in Babysitting almost, or like maybe like the group of kids in Welcome to Camp Nightmare. It has that team up type of vibe, and I really enjoyed that. But it does have some negatives. It does. And let's go off with the hopping in between plot devices within this book. You'll be in reality, then it'll unknowingly take you to a dream sequence, back to reality, back to dream sequence, then you'll be in reality, then at the end it's a whole meta reality. I just did not enjoy that aspect. I don't like the jumpiness between realities. It just didn't really flow well, and I got kind of lost. I had to keep rereading pages sometimes because I'm like, wait, how did this happen? Kind of situation. That really bugged me. It took me a lot longer to finish than it should have. This is like over 130 pages, mind you, as well. Another complaint I have is the ending. It's like I said, it's kind of like One Night in Pain House, and One Night in Pain House's true ending is bad. No different here. And I don't want to spoil anything, but no different here. Also, when the house is revealed to be real, the scenes with the house isn't as scary as the scenes not dealing with the house. So I don't think the house was as scary as it could have been. You know what I mean? it focused in the wrong areas in this book. Unfortunately, it could have been a lot better than what we got, the end product here. But anyway, let's get into how I'm going to grade this. So, from 0 to 5 stars, I knew I was going to give this a 4.0 or higher, but I don't think it's going to get a 4.5. Actually, maybe it might get a 4.5. But let's get into it. So the ending itself, the actual ending, I deducted 0.2 off because I don't like the meta aspect to the ending. The reality bending, nonsensical jumping around throughout the whole book, I actually deducted another 0.2 off for that. So we're down to 4.6. And I've deducted only 0.1 for this, but I just really felt like the action inside of the house when it's revealed to be reality and like the monsters and stuff wasn't that scary. And all the scarier aspects wasn't revolved around the mansion like I thought it would be. Very disappointed. It could have been a knockout 5 if all of these were improved. Trust me, it could have been a perfect book. But yeah, those problems for me, they weren't deal breakers. They didn't really hurt the book. It just, kind of flattened it a little bit at the end. But it didn't flatten it completely. So from 0 to 5 stars, I guess I will give this a 4.5 out of 5. So it is well above average. Excellent, is what I would say. It's definitely a standout book within Slappyworld, from what I've heard. I've heard a lot of the Slappy books aren't that good. I've heard Ghost of Slappy might be okay. I heard Dummy Meets the Mummy is really good. I know It's Alive, but I give it a perfect score. I haven't read much Slappyworld. This one, I'll give a 4.5. I think this is an excellent book. I highly recommend this. Reading level, however, it does get kind of graphic, so I will probably say 8 or over for this one, if you're out there watching. But yeah, that's Escape from Shudder Mansion. Let me know what you guys thought in the comment section. Did you love it or did you hate it? Let me know, and I'll see you next time.